This is the sound of the Rode Podmic running through a $99 audio interface. And this is the sound of the Rode Podmic running through a $250 audio interface. Now this is the sound of the Presonus PD-70 running through a $99 audio interface. And this is the sound of the Presonus PD-70 running through a $250 audio interface. These budget-friendly broadcast dynamic microphones have become so popular lately, and a couple of my favorites are the Presonus PD-70 and the Rode Podmic, and these are both around $100 microphones. But what I find is people are really stretching themselves often when they're buying these microphones, and they end up buying a $100 microphone, and then they end up buying a $50 or $100 audio interface. And traditionally when this would happen, they would really get poor audio quality because you just could not get a good quality audio interface under $100. And recently Arturia released the Minifuse 1, and I was seeing the specs and the initial reviews coming out on this, and I quickly realized this is a completely game-changing interface at under $100. And full disclosure, I did reach out to Arturia and ask them to send this interface out to me for the purpose of this review, but all the information in this video is my own, and they had no say in the making of this video. And there are really three different ways that budget audio interfaces would let you down as far as getting the best quality audio out of these sort of budget dynamic microphones that are around right now. And the first one is the preamps. And if you've ever listened to somebody's audio and you hear that hiss in the background, what that is the preamps in the audio interface that are trying to take the analog signal that is coming from the microphone and amplify that signal enough so that the audio interface and the computer can access it and read it. The second way that you will find these budget audio interfaces traditionally falling short is the analog to digital conversion. And a microphone like this is an analog instrument. It sends an analog signal down the wire into the audio interface. That audio interface then uses the preamps to amplify that signal. It then uses an analog to digital converter to convert an analog signal into a digital ones and zeros, something that can be read by the computer and written to the drive. And it is that amplification and that conversion process that really lets the budget audio interfaces down. And you get that hissing noise, like I said. And when you have poor quality analog to digital conversion, what you're going to get is a very weird digital sounding, almost like you're on a Skype call or you have a poor quality connection with an international call where the voice sounds almost robotic. That is sort of the type of thing that you often get out of the more budget-friendly audio interfaces. The other place that budget audio interfaces often let you down is you use them to actually listen back to the audio that you have recorded. And in doing that, they use their digital to analog conversion to convert that signal back into something that your speakers can play or something that you can listen to in your headphones. And with these cheaper audio interfaces, you get kind of a double whammy. You get the amp hiss coming in, you get the poor analog to digital conversion, and then when you listen to it back to see how it sounds, you get the poor digital to analog conversion. So it really can be a complete mess. And really all I wanted was an audio interface that was under $100 that I could recommend to all my viewers, that I knew was something that wasn't so cheap that I would tell them, hey, you can get a $50 audio interface or a $100 audio interface, but as soon as you've got more money, you need to upgrade. And in the past, essentially what I had told them is if they could, they should save up to $200 or $300 for the better audio interfaces. But now when we compare this $99 audio interfaces to ones costing $250, you really can't tell the difference in performance. And beyond that, it is a really clever, well-designed little unit. And one of the things I love about this unit is how slim and small it is, and I love the fact that the control is all on the front of the unit. This allows me to slide it up under my monitor and not take up any additional desk space. With most of the audio interfaces, or many of the audio interfaces, they actually have the controls on the top, which means you have to have it out on your desktop. Now, when you look at this audio interface going across the front, you've got your XLR input. This can also take an input for an instrument like a guitar. So if you pull that out, there is a little spot in the middle of this that you can put a sort of line line in for your guitar. And then if you're playing an instrument, you just hit this little button here, and that is going to light up and tell you that you are now using the line level input for an instrument instead of the XLR input for a microphone. You have your gain knob here. This is going to control how strong the signal is. And one of the neat things about it is when everything's going well and you're getting a good clean signal from my voice, you can see this lights up kind of a greeny teal color. But if I do something very loud and we get to the point where it's clipping or maxing out and we're going outside of the range of where I've set this gain knob at, it will turn red and hold for a second, just to let you know that you are going too loud and you need to turn the gain knob down. And I'll just demonstrate that for you now. Saying something very loud, and you can see it just went red like that. I'll show you again. Saying something very loud, and it goes red. So it just gives you a warning, so just keep an eye on that. If you're getting the red flashing, you know that you're getting too loud. Now here we've got our little button for 48 volt phantom power. Now the 48 volt phantom power is not needed for the type of microphones that I'm demonstrating today. These are dynamic microphones. This is used for condenser microphones, and they need a little bit of power to operate. And when you've got those plugged in, all you do is push that little button, it lights up, and it sends the power to the microphone. Next, we've got the volume knob for the studio monitors. It's the big knob here and just controls how loud the sound is coming out of your speakers. We have the direct monitor on and off. By pushing this button, it gives us what's called zero latency monitoring, so we are actually listening to what is going through the microphone or the instrument in real time with no lag or no delay. This would be something that you would use if you're recording a podcast, likely, just to make sure you're getting the cleanest possible sound, or if you're in a recording studio and you're recording a track, maybe that is with your instrument or with a vocal mic, either one. You just click that, put some headphones on, and you're going to hear exactly what is coming through the audio interface. And then we just have our little volume knob for our headphones, for a headphone jack right here on the side. Now going to the back, we've got our USB-C connection going into the unit. This just plugs into your computer. That's how it sends the data into the computer. And then this is a super clever little thing. It is a USB hub. So even though this unit is going to take up a USB port in your computer, it's going to give you an extra one on the back. So you can plug in whatever USB device that you want there. And essentially, it basically saves you from using up one of your USBs on the computer because it replaces it with one on the back of the unit here, which I think is super nice. And then you have your left and right audio outs, and those are for your studio monitor speakers. And as you can see, this isn't just a budget-friendly audio interface. This is a really well thought out, well designed audio interface that sounds every bit as good as a $250 audio interface that I have been using to date. And the audio interface you have been hearing the Minifuse 1 compared to is the Audient ID4, which at $250 is really considered a budget audio interface already, and it is one of the most highly regarded in this sort of price category. And I'm quite sure if you listen to that audio at the beginning, you are not going to be able to tell the difference between the two. I have spent some time going back and forth, listening to both of them. And if there is the slightest tone difference, maybe it is very hard to tell the difference. And I think any difference that you would identify wouldn't come down to one being a better or worse quality than the other. It would really just come down to your personal preference as far as the sound quality or how you like your audio to sound. And in addition to this being one of the best audio interfaces that I have tested, it comes with a suite of software, which is one of the most comprehensive that I have seen. And it's almost unbelievable you're getting this with a unit that is under $100. And you're going to get the Ableton Live Lite, and you're going to get the Analog Lab, and you're going to get the Arturia FX. There's a whole suite of different softwares that come with this, in addition to the Minifuse Control Center, which allows you to update your firmware and see the status on the device and actually control elements of the device as far as your sort of monitoring, line level, all from the interface inside your computer. This is really so much more than just a budget audio interface. And most importantly to me, when I am recommending a budget audio interface, I'm glad that I can now recommend something to someone where I can say, just buy this one and forget about it. You don't have to worry about upgrading in the future. As long as you only need the one input port, This is really as good as anything I have tested, and for the purposes of YouTube videos like this or independent recording of music, this really will do you for a very, very long time. And if you're interested in getting pro-level audio on the tightest of possible budgets, that's one of the things I do on this channel. So be sure to subscribe to the channel and don't forget to hit that bell notification.